that mean, digital, though? I mean, I'm intrigued by that whole phrase because, it's such a massive word, right?
It
So
is.
we've built a coaching platform, which we did with a developer. Now, I'm not digital, and I didn't need the local council to help me. I just knew that we needed to go online with our coaching, and I worked with the developer and built it. I'm not a technology guy, but we now have technology. So what does digital mean? Knowing how to use Twitter, or does it mean, transferring your business onto an online platform, depending on what your business is? What does it mean, digital?
I think, it's a valid point you raised, Chris. I would say it's business skills. They are business skills. If you run a business, or if you have a charity, or you have a coffee shop somewhere, you're operating in a predominantly digital world. Therefore, what are the skills that you need to run a business? So I think, for example, e-commerce, financing, invoicing, banking, office, basic desktop publishing skills like Microsoft Office, using a phone, cloud computing, all of these are digital skills, but they are actually business skills. And I think social, digital, they've all got messed up with one another, but the essential skills, whatever skills they are, is changing. And what we need is an educated workforce who have the prerequisite skills to be able to do whatever they do in today's world.
Yeah, I think that brings us to a really good point that is one of the chapters of the book too, that was about digital natives being automatically good at social media or something. And that's a bit of a myth, because I think some companies also think, okay, we don't have many digital skills, so let's hire a group of 18-year-olds and they can do our social, right? Which is not great, because they don't necessarily have the skills to know corporate messaging on social media, or to know how to bring that business to make it digital to sell online, right? They may have some experience or familiarity with social media, but not necessarily in a business context. So I think there's going to be a lot of work that has to be done on both bringing kind of the natural aptitudes or experience younger people have, or older people have, or people of any age have, really, and then also training people into a business to understand the corporate culture, to understand what types of sales you're going to be making, how to do that online, and to bring different kind of skill bases together. And I think there's still a lot of businesses that are struggling to do that and to bring everything together.
Yeah.
There was an interesting one on that, Ian, in a webinar I was on today, where people were asking about older and younger people, to your point, and how perceived the older generation is being kind of out of touch and whatever, and the younger generation are the go-getters. And the way I addressed it was, it's both.
Yeah.
If and it may sound obvious, but I see it so many times when people, how can I say, they say one is not conducive to working with the other. And you say about the younger generation going, great, yeah, they're tech savvy. At school, we weren't all taught about it, et cetera, et cetera. We learned it as we went. We had people to help us, Michelle, that type of thing. But the older generation, in terms of the principles still apply. It's just how they're delivered. And the two together, I get sick of this ageist, and I'm talking about someone who's 52 years old and still kind of, in my fashion industry, I'm kind of like past it in terms of my design capabilities now. But still, I can tell them how not to lose money.
Yeah.
Because I've been there.
Yeah.
I know, it's funny because I've written on this topic a whole bunch because it annoys the hell out of me, because there's so much generational stuff about this age can do this age can do this, but there's also a huge amount of research on it, and there's no significant difference between ages when you look at values. Or there is difference for skills, because obviously as you get older you learn more skills, you have more experience, but when you're looking at values, motivation, preferences, most of those core psychological traits, there aren't any significant differences. There's as much variation between any age group. So.
And I think your starting point is, Chris, that starting point about digital, you raise a good question there about, what is digital? It's enormous, isn't it? It can be from email through to, internal integration, internal comm. I mean, it's an enormous topic.
And David kind of answered it by talking about skills, but one of the things that's interesting is a lot of these skills you don't need a course for, right?
No.
My daughter might do TikTok, right? I might do Twitter, or I might do LinkedIn, or I might use Eventbrite to organize a meeting. I didn't need anyone to tell me that. I found out about when I set my business up, that I needed to organize things, and I found out about Eventbrite.
Yeah.
I found out about running surveys using SurveyMonkey, or I might use MailChimp. All these things are out there, and you don't have to be 25 to understand them. I mean, I'm nearly 60.
Even doing research is a digital skill that a lot of people don't have. And you see that a lot if you are in like any Facebook group, the amount of people asking very, very basic questions.
How do I?
When the information is all out there, but actually being able to find stuff on the internet is a skill in itself that a lot of people don't have.
But I think there's some valid points there, is that, it's like anything. How do you trust that the information that you do find when you find it is the right information? If you're not sure about that, how do you sense check that? But also, you've got to have the desire and appetite to want to learn, and like that David said, there are books. We talked about, David said to me, The Business of Being Social was and still is a brilliant book. And we were saying, should we bring another edition out? It was like, to be fair, what's the point? Because people often, they don't want to learn. They don't want to learn. We kind of have, we get comfortable, don't we? And we just want things to be the way that you just want things to happen. And so pushing ourselves out of our boundaries and learning new things, for many people, that's really exciting. But for a lot of people, it's a nightmare, and they just want to show up and be told what to do.